What do Falcons do? We rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general, the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, the Golden Hard Dog, and a lifelong sports fan. And today, guys, I'm coming back to you to predict the Falcons' schedule for the 2024-2025 NFL season. Falcons have a very tough initial 11-game stretch. We get our bye week a little bit later in the year, and then we finish out in what I think is the easier part of our schedule. I initially said that we were going to go 11-6, but I had the potential of us going 14-3, and the more I look at this schedule, it just looks like we are going to go 14-3. This is not a tough schedule on paper. We're going to really see how Kirk Cousins meshes with this offense. This is a team that should have had 11 or 12 wins with even slightly better quarterback play and slightly better coaching last year. There were certainly games that we were a play away or a touchdown away from winning, bad play away or bad decision away. At some points in the game, there were at least 4 or 5 that I go back on and say, that's a game we should have won. I'm sure there are other teams that say that when they played us, those were games they should have won as well. But the way I look at it is we should have been the division winner by a landslide last year. Would we have made it very far in the playoffs? Probably not, but we should have been a better team. And, the Bootleg Football Podcast, their QBS stat also supports that we were a top quarter team in the league, which would put us basically as a top 8 team in the league, which is a solid playoff contender. Somebody that you're expecting to make the divisional and possibly the championship round, but definitely didn't end up happening, and we ended up in the bottom end of it, and that's predominantly because of quarterback play. Should be better this year, and again, going forward, because of decisions that we made to take Michael Penix Jr., whether you agree with that decision or not, I'm still out on it for now. We certainly are a team that could be interesting this year. But let's open up. Let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to open up the season. This is the Falcons' revenge game on Arthur Smith. People are going to say it's his revenge game on us because he got fired. He completely screwed us up for at least 2 years, and I am going to say that this is our time to shut him up and tell him, thank you, we're better off without you. So I do think that the Falcons will win at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers to open the year off. I think Pittsburgh is going to be going through some changes and some growing pains as well. Their defense will still be very good, and it could be a very close game. But ultimately, I do have the Falcons winning this one. So that's the first game. Then we have to go to Philadelphia on Monday night. This is our first of 2 Monday night football games, unless something happens with the flexing schedule. And I think we lose to the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. It's going to be a tough environment. Philadelphia has probably, honestly, no offense to Philadelphia fans, the most toxic fan base of anybody out there. Incredibly hostile environment. And with it being a big primetime spot, again, this will be a spot where I think after it, people are going to be saying, oh, look, Kirk Cousins can't play in primetime. Not true. I just think that this is a bad spot for the Falcons to be in. We come back home the next week, and we get the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And I don't think this is going to be any easier. While I want us to beat the Chiefs, this will be the first home game that I am actually going to be attending with my season tickets. I honestly think we're probably going to lose this game. I don't think it'll be by much. I think it's going to be very close. I want us to win, and if we do win, then I'm dropping our loss total to about 4 or 5 at that point, because Kansas City is one of the teams that I thought was probably a loss when looking on the schedule. The only thing I will say is usually they are better later in the year, and we are getting them in a period where they should still be going through some growing pains as well with new talent. Beginning of the year is always a little bit sluggish for Patrick Mahomes. He's usually still very good, and it's hard to say he's not going to be, a top candidate for MVP this year. Their defense was a top 10 defense last year. They've lost a couple of pieces, but retained some of their bigger ones. We'll see what happens. I do have this as a loss for the time being. Then I have the first of 3 division games. It is Hate Week on Week 4 in Atlanta against New Orleans. We ain't losing this game. New Orleans basically took a giant crap on us at the end of last season, especially with Jameis Winston, who is no longer on that team. And currently is, I believe he's a Cleveland Brown, but he shouldn't be. He shouldn't have a job anywhere with the lack of respect he had for his coach. So New Orleans, you're coming to our house, and our house is angry. So you're getting stomped on. This will be a bloodbath. I think the Falcons are going to stomp on their throats, and they are not going to take the foot off of the throat. We are going to make them bleed on the field. So we win week 4. We're 2-2 going through the first 4 weeks. Week 5 versus Tampa Bay. Now, this is a Thursday night football game, so it's going to be tough. I will be at both of these games, the New Orleans and the Tampa Bay game. This is going to be tough purely because it's Thursday night. And if we're going to lose a division game, this is going to be the division game that we lose because of the short week, because of the high emotional impact coming off of beating the Saints. This is a game that could be a trap game, but I do think ultimately we are a better team, and I think that we beat them at home. Then we go to Carolina in the middle of October, and hopefully the last 2 years we've gone to Carolina, it has either been frigid or it has been a monsoon, and I am hoping that we actually get a good weather game because I'm intending to go to this one. I have one of the people that comes and sees us at our clinic. He has season tickets. I'm going to buy one from him and probably go to this game just because it's only about 3 hours away from where I currently live, so definitely one that I could make it to. But it's Carolina. Carolina's going to be one of the top 3 worst teams in the league, so I think we beat them, and it's not even going to be close. Then we come back and we play Seattle at home. This is going to be a trap game. I think that we are a better team on paper than Seattle. I can see how a lot of people would have us winning this game. I think it's going to be a trap game. I think that they are going to find a way to beat us at home. And I don't love that because I think it's a game that we're going to look back on and say, hey, we were in contention to be first place in the NFC, and this is one that we're going to want back at the end of the year. But again, it's one that I can see us just as easily winning as well. I'm just giving us the loss for the sake of posterity here. Then we're going to go on and play at Tampa Bay in Week 8. And with this game, I still think we beat them. This is the 4th division game that we play in the first 8 weeks. We play 10 division games, or sorry, not 10. We play 5 division games in the first 10 weeks. It's going to be a tough game, but I do think we end up winning this. When we come back, we play Dallas at the beginning of November at home. We'll see what Dallas turns into. They are always a high-flying offense in the last 5 years or so. I think it's going to be really tough to beat them. I think they do get the win over us just because of how it looks right now. But again, a team that I could see us beating. And again, it's one of those things where Dak Prescott is great. Kirk Cousins is great. It's going to be about whose defense is better. And the defense for the Cowboys, honestly, on paper looks a little bit more solid than ours does right now. So I'm going to give them the edge. It'll depend on injuries. It'll depend on what happens at that point in time. I should say that I'm assuming all players are healthy for these games when I'm making these predictions. Things will change. And I'm not going to lie to you. When we get to the week-to-week predictions, I'm Falcons 17-0, baby. We are going every week picking the Falcons to win unless something crazy is happening where we go through injuries or something awful happens. But even so, I think the Falcons have the depth to win these games. I do think this one, on paper, though, is a loss. Then we come back, we go to New Orleans. New Orleans will be very angry about the outcome from Week 4, but I don't think it matters because the Falcons are still going to be livid from the last year, and I think that this is one where, again, we step on their throats. It'll be a very, very close game, though, but we're going to try our best to step on their throats, and we'll be through 5 division games in the first 10 weeks. Then we go and we play at Denver. I think Denver could be a trap game, and this is one that we could lose just because it's in Denver. It's in November. It'll be cold. We're not great in cold weather and haven't been because we're a dome team in the South, but I do think we win this game. Then we get our bye week in Week 12, and from here on out, I have a couple of losses for us, but I really think this is the easiest part of our schedule, and I think we could certainly go 6-0 to finish out the year. And again, that would put us at probably close to 14-3 if we do the best that I think we possibly can do. When we come off of the bye week, we play at Los Angeles Chargers. We get them in Atlanta. One of my friends from high school, Josh Harris, still the long snapper for the Chargers. I will not be at this game, but I do look forward to it. Josh Harris will get to come back and say hey to Younghoe Koo. They are really good friends on and off the field. So, that's one that I don't have any animosity for him. He's a Pro Bowler for us, and I genuinely hope that we do well. That's a game I could see us losing just because I think they're going to be a much better team this year. But coming off of the bye week, I think we're going to have the advantage there. So I do think we win this game. Then we go to Minnesota. And while I think Minnesota is going to be one of the bottom 5 teams in the league this year, this is going to be one of our trap games, and it's going to be a revenge game or a welcome home game for Kirk Cousins. And if it's a revenge game for him, he ends up, I think we win it. If it's a welcome home game, they win it. It depends on how Justin Jefferson is doing with J.J. McCarthy at that point in time, Jordan Addison. They still have weapons. Their defense should be a little bit better. I think the glass is a little bit more half full for Minnesota than I'm giving it credit for, but I do think that they could win this game. This will be an emotional win for them. Then we go to a game that I am very excited about. I will be attending this game. I already have my hotel room. I am waiting for the plane flights to go down because Delta and Southwest, you guys suck because you jacked up the ticket prices out of Atlanta to Las Vegas by 3 times as soon as this game was announced. But you guys suck. American Airlines, I probably will be using you. Please don't do that. But I'm going to be going to this Monday Night Football at Las Vegas. Looking forward to it. I think this is a game that the Falcons do win. It's a game that could be flexed out of the Monday night position. I'll be out there anyway. It won't matter. But I'm very much looking forward to this one. I do think the Falcons get a big win on Monday Night Football. And then we come back home for Sunday afternoon. We end up playing the New York Giants in Week 16. New York Giants, again, I think are a bottom 5 team in the league. I don't have anything else to say about them. I don't think they're going to be particularly good. I think they're going to be looking for a new quarterback after this season, and the Falcons are going to help them get to that point with another win over them. We have 2 games remaining, the last one being Carolina and the one before it being at Washington. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I don't have us losing to Carolina. But Washington is a very interesting team. It is at FedEx Field. It's a New Year's weekend game. I do not love going to Washington anytime in cold weather. This is a game that I think we will lose, and I think it'll be because of injury. I think there's going to be something that happens there. So it'll kind of be a welcome home for Kirk Cousins as well, but I think something's going to happen here. I hate going to FedEx Field anytime after mid-November. That's historically when every bad thing that's ever happened to a quarterback has happened at FedEx. And I just don't look forward to going to this place in the wintertime. And I think that they will be doing something to try and prove themselves at the end of the season. There will be some guys fighting for their jobs. Dan Quinn, this is kind of a revenge game for him against the Falcons. There's a lot of emotion packed up into this game with people going home or getting revenge. And just because it's at Washington and we have not beaten them in the last few seasons, I think they're going to find a way to beat us. But we come home in Week 18 and we stomp the ever-living crap out of Carolina for seeding in the NFL or the NFC playoffs. I think we're going to be fighting for anywhere in the top 3 spots. Being number 1 or 2 obviously is great. That would mean that we get to host a home playoff game and possibly a second one if we win the first. If we are the 3 seed, well, it depends on what happens after that, but there's a chance that we're not hosting a second playoff game. But I would love to go to Mercedes-Benz, which we have not been to yet, for a playoff game. We've never hosted one. But that's how I have the Falcons getting to 11-6. And again, I can make an argument for 14-3 very easily with this schedule, with the potential that I think the Falcons have. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. A lot of people think the Falcons fans are delusional, but you got to go back and look at the whole picture. Last year, we have a better quarterback. We have a better coach. We're in the playoffs. We might be making a run at the playoffs, even if we had slightly more competent. I mean, let's put it this way. Put Gardner Minshew on the Falcons. We're winning playoff games. Put oh gosh, can't even think of his name in Tampa Bay right now. Put Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield on this team, a guy that I would have loved to have had when he was a free agent, but we didn't end up pursuing him. Put him as his resurgent self on our team. We win playoff games. We may make it to the championship game. You don't know, or not the Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship last year. That's the kind of talent that this team is. They have the potential to get there. They've been hamstrung by quarterback play. I think coaching will be mid or great. Anything is better than what we had last year. It can't get a lot worse than the incompetence that was seen with Arthur Smith. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And as always, rise up.